Hi, come on in. And thank you for visiting the Sovereign Archive. I had an interesting musing the other morning. The musing was Trump's ability to defeat his political and media foes on the scale that he did in the United States. See, without the use of physical force, afforded him to be the commander in chief of the most powerful nation on earth. I explored this idea, and this is what I came up with, and I'll share it with you in the clearest, safest, and most intellectually honest way that I can, without offering political opinions, but by grounding the explanation in observable political dynamics, in about media behavior, and we'll touch on institutional realities, okay, based on my sources of the research, okay. So we'll start with why Trump's political success translated into commanding power, okay. A political figure who can withstand sustained opposition from media, institutions, and rivals without collapsing, and who can mobilize a large voter base, demonstrates an unusual level of resilience, narrative control, and public influence. And in democratic systems, these traits translate into electoral success. See, an electoral success is what grants someone the authority to serve as commander in chief. So when we break this down as to why this happened, what we come up with is he mastered narrative combat, not physical, all right, narrative. See, that's a non physical form of power. Modern political conflict is fought through media framing, public perception, social media dominance, emotional resonance, and identity based messaging. Trump's ability to dominate the narrative space, even when facing overwhelmingly negative coverage, is well documented. Yes, he aggressively counterattacked media outlets. He often used tactics similar to leaders who centralize narrative control, and this gave him a unique advantage. And if you control the narrative, you control the battlefield without force. He neutralized or overwhelmed political and institutional opponents. Reuters documented that Trump and his administration targeted hundreds of perceived and opponents, not through physical force, but through public shaming and legal pressure, right? Bureaucratic reshuffling, executive actions, and loyalty based appointments. This was part of a broad strategy to reshape institutions around his political identity. Now, whether one approves or disapproves, the effect is the same. He demonstrated the ability to bend institutions to his will through political maneuvering alone. And in democratic systems, this is a form of power. He built a highly loyal voter base that maintained and remained intact despite the opposition, even under intense criticism, investigations, negative press. Trump maintained, and in some cases even expanded, a fiercely loyal base. This is politically significant because loyalty is more powerful than popularity. Intensity beats the breath, okay? And mobilized voters, they beat passive voters. So a leader who can maintain loyalty under pressure is seen as strong by his supporters and formidable by opponents. And this is why he remained electorally viable. And next we have democratic legitimacy. That's what grants the commander-in-chief role. In the United States, the presidency and therefore command of the armed forces is not awarded based on moral superiority or media approval, institutional harmony, or elite consensus. No, it's awarded through elections. And if a candidate can survive political attacks and dominate public attention, maintain a mobilized base, and win the electoral contest, then they gain the constitutional authority to command the military. And this is the key point. He didn't become the commander in chief because he defeated opponents. He became the commander in chief because he won an election. And he won the election because he defeated opponents politically, not physically. So his style is confrontational, retaliatory, personalist, and it reinforced the perception of strength. And during his second election, Trump expanded presidential power through a maximalist interpretation of executive authority, often described by analysts as personalist or leader-centered. And this reinforced a public image of dominance and defiance, resilience, unbreakability. So in politics, the perception of strength is often as influential as strength itself. And the reason that this matters for the question that I ask, basically, why does Trump's ability to defeat political and media foes without force afford him the role of commander-in-chief? Well, here's the answer. Because in a democratic system, the ability to win political conflict, not physical conflict, is what determines the electoral victory. All right. An electoral victory is what grants the constitutional authority to command the armed forces. All right. So what did he demonstrate? Well, let's review it. Narrative domination, institutional pressure, political resilience, base mobilization, and strategic retaliation. See, these are non-violent forms of power that translate directly into the electoral success that you see he gained. And electoral success in this country is the only pathway to the commander-in-chief role. So there, that was my little study for today. And come back soon. And leave your comments. I love your comments. So until we meet again, remain in peace.